Hola a todos, soy Javier Poveda y esto es De Bien TV, el canal en el que te la vas a pasar de bien mientras aprendes geografía, historia e historia del arte. El vídeo de hoy va dirigido a mis alumnos de segundo de la ESO de sección del IES Niel Armstrong de Valdemoro. Como siempre, antes de empezar, desearos que tanto vosotros como vuestras familias estéis lo mejor posible de salud. So today we are going to correct the exam preparation of the units 8 and 9 that I sent you several days ago and which you should have already delivered to me. So I recommend you to get this on hand, close to you, because we are going to start the correction with this presentation that I have made for the occasion. Okay, so here we are. With the presentation of the solutions. So let's start it with the first activity, which is a true or false activity. You have to identify if the sentence is true or false, and in case of being false, you have to correct it and rewrite it entirely, okay, in a correct way. So the first one is a megalopolis is a vast rural space which consists of a chain of metropolitan areas. This sentence is false because a megalopolis is a vast urban space which consists of a chain of metropolitan areas. The second one is the villages in urban spaces can be dispersed or nucleated. It's false because the villages can be dispersed or nucleated, but the villages are located in rural spaces and not in urban spaces. The third one is there are more children born in societies where women have access to education and work. This is false because there are less children born in societies where women have access to education and work. Okay? In developed countries where women in these societies can go to work and can go to school or university, they have, let's say, less time to have children, okay? And so therefore there are less children and the birth rate is lower. The fourth one is the population explosion began in the 20th century because the birth rate decreased. This is false. The population explosion began in the 19th century with the Industrial Revolution, and the population increased because the death rate decreased. Okay, the birth rate stayed the same, stayed more or less stable. It was later when the birth rate started to decrease, but in the 19th century, it was the death rate who decreased, or that decreased at first, okay? And finally, Rivas-Vaciamadrid is considered to be a global city. For me, this is true, because I know this is true, but for the rest of the world, this is false, and Rivas-Vaciamadrid is considered to be at least, or not more than a regional city. I don't think so, but this is the correct answer. Then the second activity was the definitions. In this one, you have to define the following terms in your own words. Remember, in these definitions, you have to write what it is and then, if required, the characteristics of the word given. Okay, you don't need to write the same exactly identical thing that I wrote here. Okay, you can write it with your own words and it can be correct. Okay, so we have that the total fertility rate is the estimated average number of children a woman will have in her lifetime. The solution is located in the book on page 132. The infant mortality rate is the number of deaths of infants under 1 year old in a year on page 134. The life expectancy is the number of years a person is expected to live when he or she is born, okay? And this is also on the same page 134. The population growth rate is the increase in a country's population over a period of time expressed as a percentage of the population. Okay, this is important, that it is expressed as a percentage. It is on page 143. The CBD means the Central Business District. Here I missed a capital letter. It is an area within the central part of the larger cities, so the CBDs are located in the larger cities and in the central part, this is important, where the commercial and financial institutions are located. That is the reason why it is called Central Business district. It is on page 155. A conurbation is a large urban space consisting of several interconnected cities which form a continuous urban area. It is on page 157. The urban hierarchy is a classification of cities according to different factors such as the sphere of influence, the economic or financial importance, or the efficient transport network, among others. It is on page 160. And finally, the rural space is an extensive land with a low population density, which is below 150 inhabitants per kilometer squared. It is on page 152. This is all for the definitions, and then we go to the tables. You had to complete these tables using, this is only mathematical calculus. So in the first table you have to calculate the population density of these countries for the year 2002. So the formula for population density is the number of people divided by the land area in square kilometers. So you have to divide this number by this number, and the result is these ones, okay, are these ones: 106.41 for Hungary, 79.04 for Spain, 135.21 for China, 30.27 for the USA, and 6,796.11 for Singapore, okay? The numbers should be with two decimal numbers. It's okay for me, okay? So the next table you have to calculate the crude birth rate, the crude death rate, and the rate of natural increase. This is the formula for the crude birth rate, the formula for the crude death rate, and this is an alternate formula for the rate of natural increase. Okay, the formula you have in the book is it's a longest formula, but this is an alternate formula which is easier once you have calculated the crude birth rate and the crude death rate, okay? The formula of the book is number of births minus number of deaths divided by the number of inhabitants and multiplied by 100. But if you have already calculated the CBR and the CDR, you can calculate the RMI more easily with this formula. So, and it is important before starting to put that, or to indicate that the crude birth rate and the crude death rate are expressed in parts per thousand, okay, or parts per mil, or per mile, I don't know, per mil, yes, parts per thousand, okay, and the rate of natural increase is a percentage, parts per 100, okay. This is important because if you just write the number, it is not correct. You have to express the rate, okay, if it's part per thousand or part per 100. So for country A, we have a 12.04 per thousand crude birth rate, the same for the crude death rate, and a 0% of rate of natural increase because they are the same births than deaths. For country B, we have a CBR of 9.83, a CDR of 7.87 per mil, and a natural increase of 0.19 percentage. For country C, we have a 28.43 per mil CBR, a 5.01 per mil CDR, and a 2.34 natural increase, percentage of natural increase. And the third table is about continents, and we have to calculate all of these using the same formulas. So we have 37.86 and 13.99 and 2.38 for Africa. Well, and I'm not going to read all of these because there are a lot, but if you want, you can pause the video and take a look of it closely, okay? So this is it. And the fourth question is about population pyramids, and the first one is a population pyramid for Spain for the year 1900. So, which is the largest age group and the smallest? So, the largest age group, we take a look at the pyramids, and the longest bar here is this one, is the men between 0 and 4 years old, because they are up to 12% of the population. So the largest age group is men between 0 and 4 years old. It is the 12% of the population. And or if you want to mix men and women, we have that the age group between 0 and 4, it's around 12 plus 11, it is around 23% of the total population. The smallest age group is the men who are 85 or more years old. Then the smallest age group, I don't know what I said, which is around 0.1% of the population, and together with women they are around 0.2 or 0.3. What type of population pyramid is this? This is an expanding pyramid. Why? Because it shows a population with a high increase in birth rate, because the longest bars are here at the base in the younger people, and a young population because the young people, the ones who are below or under 14 years old, are much larger than the ones who are above 65 years old. Okay? And then the second population pyramid is the one for Spain, but for the year 2007. So what type of population pyramid is this? This is a contracting pyramid because it shows a population with a low birth rate. Look how short are these bars compared to the middle bars, and a high life expectancy, and a low death rate, because we have a lot of elder people or a lot of old people. Does this pyramid show an aging population? Explain your answer. Yes, you have to remember that an aging population is the population who have more people over 65 years old than below 14 years old, and younger people. So we have, if we sum up all these bars since these ones, starting from these ones upwards, going upwards, we have that the population who are above 65 years old are around the 16% of the population, and the people who are, or the population, the part of the population who are below 14 years old, so these three bars at the base of the pyramid, are total of around 14.5%. So yes, this is an aging population, and Spain nowadays has an aging population. And finally, we have the short questions, which are 4. The first one is, what is the difference between rate of natural increase and population growth? We know that the rate of natural increase shows the difference between the number of births and the number of deaths. It's a subtraction. The population growth, on the other hand, shows the increase or decrease in a country's population because it adds the net migration rate to the natural increase. Therefore, the population growth is a better indicator of the changes of the population because it takes into account all the factors that affect it. It takes into account the natural increase, which are the births and the deaths, and also the migration rate. Okay, so this is a better indicator to know the changes in population of a country or a territory. The second one is, what characteristics of population growth do developed countries share at the present time? So these characteristics are the aging population, which results in a low natural increase rate or even negative. We have seen a negative increase rate in the tables of the activity 3. A positive net migration because many immigrants arrive from less developed countries to work in the jobs that the people of the country do not want to take, and pro-natalist policies. This is to try to increase the low birth rate, which results in, for example, maternity and paternity leave, tax discounts for parents, etc. The third one is explain the differences between rural space and urban space. So the main differences between these two spaces are, first, the population density. The rural space has a density below 150 inhabitants per kilometer square, and the urban space, its density is above that number. The type of settlement in which people live. The people lives in villages in the rural space and in cities in the urban space. And finally, the main economic activities. In the rural space, the main economic activity is the primary sector, the agriculture or livestock farming or fishing, etc. And the secondary and tertiary sector in the urban space, the industry and the services. These are the main economic activities in cities. And finally, the last one is explain the differences between a megalopolis and a global city. Well, the megalopolis is a type of urban space which consists, there's an S missing here, of a chain of metropolitan areas. But on the other hand, a global city is a type of city. So a megalopolis is a type of urban space and a global city is a type of city based on its hierarchy, which has influence on other cities all over the world. A global city is at the top of the urban hierarchy. So this is all for the exam preparation. Let's change the camera. Okay, so this is all for this this correction of the exam preparation. I hope you did it well, and cambiamos al castellano ya. Espero que este vídeo os haya ayudado para comprender estas actividades y nos vemos en el próximo. Muchas gracias por verlo.